Of course, if you own it, if you own a piece of it or own it all, of course you're going to do more work. It's your fucking baby. You know, that's why when this thing all blew up, he was left with a show and I was left with my dick in my hands.
Please, no, I cannot be fired. I'm fired. Ah!
Hey, everybody. I'm Harrison, formerly of the Sick and Wrong podcast, currently of Let's Kill Ourselves. I find myself in the unenviable position of making a response video to the true Hollywood story. And I got to be honest, I didn't really see myself at the age of 41 as doing a clapback video on fucking YouTube, going all in on my Opps, but fucking here we are. All right. So we're doing that. And, I got to say, well, I haven't heard the thing. I've had two friends of mine listen to it and tell me what's on it. And I found out about it Saturday. I found out what was on it. I kind of have been like in bed for a lot of the time, other than like, I took a sick day Monday, like I had to work Tuesday, I had a deadline. But like, other than that, just been in bed, just with my cat laying around and fucking depressed. And it kind of took, what snapped me out of it was actually yesterday, the fall of the Republic at the hands of a guy dressed up like a buffalo. Oh, that was where, that was the thing that was like, okay, all right, this is not that bad. This is stupid. In fact, 400,000 people are dead. Everything is stupid, but whatever. I have to fucking tell my side of the story here because so much of that is horseshit, and I can actually prove it is through actual evidence and Occam's razor and the absence of evidence on the other side. And I'm going to have to do that. And I'm irritated that I have to do that because I was walking away. I was done with this shit. I was fucking done. And all of a sudden, right when I was fucking out, they pulled me back in. He's an absentee landlord. I'm sorry. If by the way, if you don't know what the fucking Sick and Wrong podcast is, don't watch this because you'll be bored to fucking tears. It is some inside baseball shit. I'm going to try to make it entertaining. I got Jonah Jameson to help me do it. He only wanted one thing in return. What was that again?
I want the public to see Spider-Man for the two-bit criminal he really is. Cash money for a picture of Spider-Man.
All right. I mean, yeah, I could do that, but like people are storming the Capitol. Shouldn't we? Don't you want to cover that for the?
I want Spider-Man.
All right. I'll get it. Okay. So he's going to help me do this. So that's good. Yes, I changed glasses because my other glasses were broken and they kept falling off. So I'm not reshooting it. I'm not doing it. So what you heard was no less than character assassination. And yes, I recognize the irony of assassinating someone's character who basically spent the last 5 years character assassinating himself, or the irony of character assassinating someone who did a show about like two scumbags who were scumbags and miserable bastards. I get it. All right. I get it. But what I want to do here is I'm going to fucking just give you the facts here, because none of this disingenuous fucking bullshit about like, oh, I consider him a friend. Like, do you want a friend who considers, do you have any friends who would do something like, I don't know what this feels like. It must be like when you get divorced or when you run for a contested political office. But what does he do to his enemies? Good God. So none of that stuff, none of that like, hey, we're not going to air dirty laundry. I have to air dirty laundry. I have no choice. Okay. Like, I don't want to. I had no intention of releasing any of this information or any of these emails or anything like that. But I literally have no choice. He forced my hand. Okay. So when he's like, oh, he's releasing private, it's like, I have to. I have just no other way to fucking clear my name here of this horse shit. And I'm going to try to do this without resorting to the tools of certain other people, like petty name calling, rank speculation, other shit like that. I'm going to try to just really keep it and I'm trying not to blow anyone else up but the person who blew me up. Okay. So let's get into why. Why did he do this? Well, it's actually kind of puzzling to me, but I have some things. He doesn't really understand much about me. I learned at some point not to really confide in him just because he has a hard time understanding perspectives other than his own. And he's not big on feelings. I think maybe he was, but he faced a lot of tragedy, like earlier in life than most people, which I feel like probably, burnt them out. Just armchair fucking bullshit, whatever. Rank speculation. Sorry. So I never really confided in him, but he does know how to hurt me. And he knows that I hate to be misunderstood. He knows that. And he knows that you people, the listeners, are maybe some of the few people on this earth whose opinion I actually value. Not all of you, mind you, but like your opinion of me, it matters kind of in some weird way. So he knows that. And this is, make no mistake, this is designed to hurt. And in response to some things that were said on Let's Kill Ourselves, which was actually really vague and fairly innocent and in the past tense. And I'm going to show you the clip about the lawyer, because his lawyer shit is bullshit. I'm going to show you this clip about the lawyer now. And then at the end of this video, you'll see a trailer that I also put out that referenced Sick and Wrong, but it really wasn't anything crazy. Okay. So let me show you that now.
I'm surprised I did do that because I was in like war mode at that time. And this was my plan. My plan was to I had $5,000 ready for a retainer. I was hiring a lawyer and was going to sue.
What a waste of money. Ugh.
For the money. And like, I didn't even think I was going to get the money. I just did it because anytime he applied for a job or like a apartment or a mortgage, the first thing that would come up in a background check is that lawsuit.
Yeah.
And when you sue somebody, all the stuff that comes in the lawsuit, all the evidence, you get to choose what that is. So, but he ended up giving me what I wanted, so I didn't have to do it. I didn't have to sue anybody. And
there was no mention of a lawyer until I actually mentioned that in that thing. I've never threatened D. Simon because one thing, he is like me in that you can't threaten him. If you threaten him, he'll just double down and be like, oh, okay. And I'm like that too. So I would never do that. That would be stupid. You just do stuff. You don't threaten him with stuff because then you'll have to do it. According to D. Simon, I am a junkie, a useless, worthless person who contributed nothing to the show. I am a rich kid who gets money from and I'm going to get into the money later. I'm not even going to get into that now, but I'm going to get into the money later. Let me tell you, oh boy. All right. I was complicit in the murder of JonBenet Ramsey, according to him. I think at one point he said, I put the bomb in the bomb, shabomp, shabomp. I get irascible. I had a meltdown, an epic meltdown. I feel possessive and jealous of his relationship with the listeners, which is like, if I could eye roll my eyes out of my skull, I would do that now. Meow, meow, my brother, you are older than me. Do you still feel the pain? Ba, 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 must be the clowns in my eyes. Fucking Christ. Though it is no secret that I found JonBenet Ramsey's pageant rendition of I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy derivative, pedestrian, and uninspired. I had nothing to do with the murder. That's not, sorry, that's just, it doesn't do it for me in terms of you deserve to die. As far as putting the bomb in the bomb, shabomp, shabomp, guilty as charged. But I did not put the dong in the ramalama ding dong. No matter what you hear on the internet or on Twitter or Reddit or 4chan, okay? So, this junkie bullshit. I'm going to go over something with you. So, the history of Sick and Wrong, for those of you who are new listeners, I started in fall of 2015. we created the Patreon together in the fall of 2017. For those 2 years, for the first year of the show, when I met D. Simon, like I was a mess. Like I was doing a lot of drugs, and I was like so many that like I was barely in reality. I was like this. And I was like vibrating in and out of different dimensions. And somehow I couldn't like string two different thoughts together in my mind, but I was able to actually like improvise one-liners on a radio show very well. I think probably better than I am able to do when I'm not flitting in and out of different dimensions. So that was fortuitous. I was during that time, I was late. I was very late. And actually that might be the only thing that's egregious. Jesus Christ. Honestly, I'm going to get into that too. But that might be the only thing that's actually egregious is that during that first like couple of years, he lived a block away and I would often be like 3 hours late. So that's definitely true. Although I never heard all these complaints about me, never heard a word about it until after fucking I'm gone from the show. He is a Jedi of passive aggression. He can sort of dance between the raindrops with a sigh, you know, and that's, you know, he never had a sit down, come to Jesus talk with me. And even when I was fucked up like that, I still fucking showed up every week. And it's even when he was like, oh, I have to be done at 7 because I have to go to some insipid show. Then I showed up on time. So what the fuck? You know, it was always kind of a rolling loose fucking thing. But especially later when I wasn't all nuts, that was that would be a rolling thing. Like, oh, let's shoot for 3. And then it's like, oh, I'm fighting with my girlfriend for 2 hours. You know, why don't you come? It was all kind of vague and, you know, and I never gave him instructions on how to handle me. So, you know, whatever with that. But don't be like, oh, it's all my fault, you know. But here's the thing. I went to rehab in early 2017. And then I was like sober for 4 months. And then I was real fucked up again on the other shit, on the stuff that brings you down as opposed to the stuff that brings you up. And I kind of had to clean up my act, and I had to kind of clean up my act in mid 2018 when I started doing freelance writing work for a big company. And I'm not going to say the company, but those who know me know what it is. And then in fall of 2018, I was hired on as a full-time contractor. And then a year later, I was hired on as a full-time actual employee of the company. And just very recently, I was given a raise and a promotion after they've laid off like 50,000 people. Okay. And believe me, I'm not tooting my own horn here because I have like negative self-esteem. Okay. I'm just stating facts. Okay. I think this is all like, I am a man with imposter syndrome. I kind of do believe I'm worthless. I kind of do believe some of those things he said about myself. But if you think about the facts that kind of state otherwise, I actually won a Webby Award back in April for some work I did. And I never told him because there's always a kind of a delicate tension of like, you know, two fragile male egos and just his bitter resentfulness. It would just be like, it would just cause more resentfulness. So I'm like, just to keep the balance, I never told him I won a Webby. So, you know, that sounds healthy, right? Doesn't that sound healthy? Yeah. So my point is, anyone with any knowledge of addiction knows that I couldn't do those. I can't work a full-time job. You can't work a full-time job and be a junkie. You just can't. You can't do it on the stuff that brings you up because you're like not even on this planet. And the stuff that brings you down, you're just like falling asleep and drooling on yourself. Yeah. And despite the lyrics to the theme song of my new show, the two don't really balance each other out. That was what you might call a humor joke. So It's like everything will be used against you in a fucking court of YouTube. And then you like go through withdrawal all the time. So it's like you just can't do it. I mean, that's why I had to negotiate mutual separation fucking situations from those 2 jobs I had during the first 2 years, because I was about to get fired, because I was fucking up, because I was all fucked up, man. So how can that be possible? How is that possible? Am I the exception to the rule? Am I that magical of a fucking being? Some kind of trickster character like Bugs Bunny? No. Okay. No, I am not the exception to the rule. And also, like, and don't get me wrong, some indulgences for less harmful things, but same things that he does. And the mushroom microdosing helped me a lot. And that road trip I took over the summer, you can't get on an airplane and do a road trip while you're withdrawing. Okay. And you might be like, well, why would you hint that you were like that? Well, let me tell you why. The show, we kind of portray like slightly exaggerated versions of ourselves, slightly more miserable bastards than we actually are. Okay. And after I went to rehab, and that time I was, clean and sober for 4 months, I got a lot of people writing me being like, well, you're boring now, Harrison. You're boring. And I don't know, at some point, like I decided like all the stories are true. The timeline might be off. Some stuff might be exaggerated just because like it was part of the character at that point. And, don't get me wrong. I fucked up from time to time, but I fucked up for like 2 days or something, because I don't have time. I can't get addicted. And then I just can't, I don't have time. D was not a guy I confided in. Okay. About drugs or feelings or anything, just because he likes to gossip. So I don't. I don't hold that. I try not to hold against people for being who they are. I try to just deal with them on that level. I wish you'd fucking do that. But yeah, I didn't fight, and I didn't talk to him about my feelings because just as I wouldn't try to talk to a fucking starfish about Marcus Aurelius, like there's no point. There are at least 3 different instances in this show in which he explicitly says that I did way more than Wackerly ever did on the show in terms of work for the show, other than just show up. And I'm not going to find those clips because I just don't have the fucking time. You fucking find them. I'm just not doing it. I can't listen to the show anymore. It like hurts my heart. All right. I'm just trying to repair my reputation for some of the few people whose opinion actually matters to me. It's like he wants to rewrite history. I did nothing for the show, nothing. He's just going to rewrite history. It's as if the old republic hadn't fallen yesterday, and from its ashes, like a phoenix, a new nation born from the ideals of its founders, Buffalo Man and Business Eagle. Oh, I'm assuming that's what happened. I stopped watching the news because it was looking oof. But hey, maybe things worked out. Maybe that didn't happen. You only get one chance to make a first impression. When I met D. Simon, I was yeah. And I always got the feeling he kind of despises people for their human weaknesses. Not despises, but he resents people for their human. He resents people for a lot of things. I knew that, when he was up late Sunday nights editing the show, he was resenting me for not editing the show. Even though, he said he would show me how to use Pro Tools and blah, 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 blah. But he never did. And honestly, I don't think he wanted to, because I get it. It's his baby. He's a control freak. I'm similar with shit. Sometimes I have trouble delegating because it's like the time you spend showing somebody how to do something, you could just do it yourself. I get it. I fucking get it. All right. But then to hold it against me, to come at me like this, there was a time It was a time. If it seems like I'm rushing through this, it's because I am rushing through this. Okay. I don't want to be doing this. Doing this sickens me. I've been fucking putting it off all week. The fact that I have to do this at my age, and I don't know why he did that. I honestly don't know why he did that. I showed you the possible reasons. I sent one email to the fans. It was a heartfelt goodbye. There was no fucking shit talking. There was nothing. There was no shit talking. But here we are. Mr. Warmth. Mr. fucking Warmth. So the facts, folks. The facts. Let's go through the facts. I doubled the fucking YouTube subscribers. I did the live stream. What the what? I think I got it. So wait. I did it!
Oh my God.
Oh shit. Oh
I'm
shit.
amazed.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. I fucking did it, baby. You're amazed. I've been fucking putting so many hours of research into this, you motherfucker. You shouldn't be amazed because I fucking, yeah. Oh my God, I'm doing a white man dance on camera. Everything is fucking.
Do you see that?
No, the amount of time I put into trying to make this work, man.
Yeah, I'm impressed, but I'm also kind of like, why?
Because if you have
It's the little things in life.
You have to take my dude. You have to take my camera and sync up the fucking sound and take the files off and do the thing. It's very stupid.
I guess.
If I could just live stream it, it archives it for us, and then I could just put it on YouTube.
I suppose.
You know?
Yeah, but which is fine. I think that's good. I mean, it'll sound good.
It's the whole video aspect. You know what I mean? This is the whole point of it. You know, to get it up on video, and the easier it is for me to do, the more shit we're gonna have. You know?
No, believe me, I agree.
And look at this.
I'm
It's
just saying,
not a wide shot anymore. It's both of us, like right up in our fucking grills. Ding.
I am
You know?
impressed. I probably would not have put this much effort into it.
Okay. I set up the Discord. And then later, I did the best thing for the Discord. I gave it to the fans, and they remade it in the image of Buffalo. No, not Buffalo Man. They made it better. He loves revenge, and that's been said many times on the show. Talking about just news stories. What if somebody ejaculated into his mayonnaise? Even if that person went to prison, he'd still have to have his revenge. His eyes light up when he talks about it. His revenge. That's what this is. That's what it was. So what else is it? What is the point? The idea that I did nothing for the show is idiocy. He did more work than me. Absolutely. He did definitely. A lot of times he would end up spending 2 hours on a Sunday night editing his own coughs out of the program. But seriously, no, he did do more. But it's like, guess what, motherfucker? The reason for that is because you own the show. It's your show. That's why you do that. Like, it's like with a startup. Of course, if you own it, if you own a piece of it or own it all, of course you're going to do more work. It's your fucking baby. You know, that's why when this thing all blew up, he was left with a show and I was left with my dick in my hands, right? That's why you do more. I don't know where he gets his ideas about business and how things work, but it's fucking silly. Like an aquiline child. Like an aquiline child in the night. Ooh, yeah. So remember like a year ago when Spotify was like literally buying every podcast in town? Let's say for a second that Spotify bought Sick and Wrong.
You serious?
Yes, let's just say that. Let's just say that. He would get the money and I would get like a kick in the dick. And that's why you do more work than I do, you dumb fuck. Now, in these emails that I'm going to go over, we both itemize. We both itemize our individual expenses and how much money we're getting and blah, blah, blah from the Patreon. By the way, if you're a $10 or $20 contributor, why? You get everything for $5. So don't do that. It always felt weird. The first 2 years of the show that I was doing it, we didn't fucking do Patreon. We didn't have a Patreon. The only money we got is every like 3 months, we'd get a $400 check from Adam and Eve, and he'd give me half. And I mean, to his credit, he didn't have to even fucking tell me about it. He could have been like, yeah, we get free lube. Here's some lube. And I would have been like, sweet. Because I was doing radio for fucking free. The idea that I'm some kind of money grubber. This is like my relaxation, if you could believe that. Okay. This is my hobby. This is what I do to relieve stress, which is why when I left, when I like actually was able to put it behind me and get the money and just be like, okay, I would have paid that much money to not have this amount of stress that this caused me, that this shit has caused me. My God, I didn't need the money. I wanted it because it was mine. Because there was a precedent set of like all the money, you know, when he said, this is what we did with Wackerly. We get this, whatever the income we get, we split it, you know, this is what was said. And there was no contract at the beginning. To be fair, I think there was no contract because neither of us thought we would actually make any money on Patreon. We kind of thought it was a joke. So we didn't have a contract. And I mean, we were friends. I mean, we were friends. I don't still consider him a friend. So if somebody could do that, could make a 65-minute fucking hit piece on you, you know, and you could still be their friend, then I commend you because you're Jesus Christ. So in this email, he says, Harrison is very open about his mental health and substance abuse issues. That's great. So the translation of that sentence is, he was open about it, so now I'm going to use it against him. That's what that means, in case you, didn't read into this, because why would you, honestly? What he did in August was egregious. Was it egregious? In the fucking pandemic? Like, I did a bad show. I did a bad episode. Not even my worst episode. Listen to the Toy Box Killer episode and tell me that's a fucking better episode. You know? After doing, I don't know, fucking 250 shows. It makes me sad. Yeah, so he says that. I hope I have a fucking never heard back from horseshit. Absolute horseshit. And you're going to see, because I'm going to go through all the emails that we have. It's all documented. And if he says it's not true, then I'll just publish the whole fucking email thread. I don't give a shit. I'm not even going to release any, like everything in there. I'm just going to release what I need to refute the fucking shit. What? Oh my God. Own up to or acknowledge his actions. Serenity now. He struggles with drug addiction and depression. One thing that's interesting is that it's interesting that he uses the word junkie a lot rather than addict. He uses the pejorative, which can really just show you where his fucking heart's at. I actually apologize for that episode. I freaked out over some shit that later I thought I was being crazy. But actually, it all ended up happening, so I'm not crazy. So actually, there's literally no reason for me to apologize to him. I did apologize to the listeners in that email. And I, still do, because one of the few things I like about myself is that I'm entertaining. It's like, so I hold myself to a higher standard than that motherfucker, definitely, and than almost anyone. So I sincerely apologize to the fans of Sick and Wrong for that. But honestly, one bad episode, like, ugh. For a time, I thought he wanted me to apologize for banning a user on the Discord for posting the video for All Star by Smash Mouth. And then I immediately wanted to unban him, but I didn't know how. So I had to have somebody else do it. I honestly thought for a while that that's what he was talking about. But I had already apologized for doing that. So you keep saying you had no idea where I was. This is me saying this. From what I understand, you made it sound like I was MIA incommunicado for months. And he does in that email he sent to all y'all as well. But let's be straightforward here. We were in touch here and there. And until the week I went to Croatia, I was on the Discord almost every day. And by the way, as soon as all this shit happens, he's Mr. Discord, please. I was back from Croatia for 5 days. You sent the email in the beginning of this thread after you recorded the ep, which gave me a very uninspired and inaccurate goodbye. But it would have been just as easy to send it before and asked how I wanted it framed like you promised. And I'll show you where he promised it. It would have been so easy to end this amicably. I'm not going to bother to cite that promise from a previous email. I will in this, though. But you citing my unraveling as entertainment thing is just egregious. Oh, my God, he used my word. He used it. I learned it by watching you, all right? I learned it by watching you. Look at that. Totally out. Oh, wow. All right. Totally out of context. Stated by many I care about, but not at all true. Not to mention in an email from the week I was being made to dance for the Patreon money. A week in which I aged 10 years, by the way. Guy in money. Much like the UK thing. Not to mention you keep boasting about not putting private stuff out there. But what was that if not a personal thought in a private correspondence? Totally contradictory. But I made the mistake of saying what was important to me was saying goodbye to listeners and or have a say in how departure is presented. So taking that away, I at least respect the move on a Machiavellian level. Though I have gotten a lot of messages from people asking why I left without saying goodbye. People mad at me for doing that. People thinking I'm MIA dead in a ditch. So yeah, the exact thing I didn't want. Fun. A lot of fun. So this is the fucking, I did have to sign a thing called the final compromise. I didn't name it that. He named it that. But no, yeah, anytime I want to come back, right? Fucking insincere, disingenuous little prince. And here's a fun thing. You probably know that D records, as soon as he and I start talking, he records it, right? And that's what the fucking outtakes on Patreon are. He records all that shit. So if what he said is true about why I freaked out, play the fucking tape. Fucking vindicate me, motherfucker. Play it. You got it. So fucking play it. You will hear me getting upset. Epic meltdown. I don't like, not only does that not rank in my top 10 epic meltdowns, I don't even consider that a meltdown. I yelled at a motherfucker and then was kind of too fucking agitated to do a goddamn show. And, I mean, that's true. I am a fucking delicate flower. When I'm at work, I have to like either block certain people or turn my phone off or whatever, because it's like, if I get like upset or fucking triggered or something, it fucks up my creative mind. And like, I can't, it fucks me up. And it's a fucking weakness, believe me, I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, sometimes I'll be walking down the street and like a dog will look at me weird. And then that'll like make me sad for the rest of the day. Are these motherfuckers here with my sushi? So I did hold it against him for like several days. Like, why would you try to tell me something that upset me before we recorded? No. And then later I was like, well, that's not really his responsibility. God forbid you should fucking spend time picking up on nuances. And anyway, it's hard. Look, it is hard. We do a show. We're two miserable bastards who do a show in which we portray even more miserable bastards. So it can be hard to, I mean, again, all the things, all the complaints, never said a word to me. Never said a word. And it's just the way it was, I try not to hold it against people for fucking who they are, unless they fucking come at me. So here's what happened. He told me, he said, Harrison, I got to come clean with you. Notice how I'm not doing the voice. I got to come clean with you. I lied to you. I didn't go to San Francisco or Portland or whatever with my fucking, siblings, friends, whatever. I went to Croatia to meet up with a listener. And I'm not even going to get into, I don't want to blow anybody's shit up other than what I need to do to fucking do this. So now this, all of a sudden I'm getting the fucking adrenaline in the back. Cause again, I am a jealous. I am not a jealous person. I am not a possessive person. I believe that would require having like some modicum of self-esteem to be that. I am a very insecure person, and I am very fucking suspicious of super fans because even Schlitzy, the first year I fucking was friends with him, and by the way, friends with all these people. I've never met any of these people. The first year fucking I was talking to him. Oh, my fucking sushi's coming. How about that, guys? Oh, here's my sushi. All right. I mean, I'll tell you what, I relapsed the after the episode where I was real fucking sad. And then I got totally clean the next day, which was like off everything, anti-anxiety, antidepressants, Adderall, mushrooms. And then I was just telling everybody like, hey, I'm totally clean up everything. And then I was just a total nutcase. That was a total disaster. Mushrooms are the best antidepressant you can ever use, in my opinion. Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. He's an absentee landlord. They took my ovaries, Kevin. Remember that? Okay. All right, I'm back. It just never fucking ends. It's like going over 5 years of shit. And they forgot my fucking dragon rolls. Tell me there's justice. You tell me there's justice. So I've relied on the Sick and Wrong listeners as kind of a crutch for years. I talk to a lot of listeners. And any listener that's ever talked to me knows that I talk for a while and then I'll disappear. And it's usually because like I get sad about a dog looking at me a weird way on the street or something. But what happened this past year was from what I've heard, everything that Kate Rambo says in the thing is actually true. That, we were just talking about fucking records and also sending like, our favorite pics of like sexy 60s starlets of the small and large screen. Fucking Emma Peel, was that her name? God, I can't remember. Anyway, that kind of bullshit. And then I kind of stopped having private conversations with anyone when the quarantine hit, because that was something that I did when I was at work, like on the studio on campus. Because I don't know. I get antsy there. But since I started to have to work from home, I have like way too many distractions here. So it kind of switched to just Discord, But yeah, I kind of stopped talking to everybody, including her, April when I, so I hadn't really done that other than talking to everybody on the Discord, which I had been doing. So just that's what makes this all so fucking stupid and annoying. So he told me, he said, I got to come clean with you. I already said that. I lied to you. I didn't go to Oregon or San Francisco to hang out with my friends or my sister or whatever. I went to Croatia to meet a listener. I already said that. Fuck. And all of a sudden, this was the first time he'd ever lied to me. It's not that I thought I jokingly call him the Prince of Lies on the show, but that's kind of a different context. It's not that I think he can't lie. It's just, he just had no reason to lie to me. You have to kind of care about something to lie about something. And so he just never had any reason to, but this was because of that. It was a huge red flag for me. I was like, oh shit. And adrenaline starts going in my brain. And like I said, I'm always distrustful of super fans. I always think they want to take my job, which is stupid. It's just like, I don't know. I'm a crazy person. What do you want? I've been very open about my mental illness. So please use it against me. Please go ahead and do that. Drag anybody you want into it. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, so yeah, I freaked out on him, and I'd at that time, I'd already come to my own conclusion. See, I suffer from these like erroneous assumptions sometimes. That's just like part of my fucking illness, where it's like, I'll think like, oh, this is a paranoid plot against me. And then I'll need like to think about it like overnight. And then the next day I'll be like, actually, this person doesn't give a shit. What? That's stupid. So normally I need a little time to do that, but I didn't have that time. And I was like so angry. I wanted to not do the episode, but I knew I had to do the episode. And the next day I actually called him, and I wanted to like, say, hey, I was being nuts. Sorry about that. And the call didn't go well when it started, mainly because I was out. I had to do a bunch of shit. And I didn't have like my recording thing, but I was like, I should record this call to cover my own ass. But I didn't have my like H4n thing. So I was trying to use this app to record it. And then actually I looked it up that you can't actually record a conversation in California. It's illegal without both people knowing about it. So I was like, all right, I can't do that. But when I called him, the first thing that happened was I'd left the app on, and it was like, you're recording this conversation. Hey. And I'm like, fuck. So it wasn't off to a good start. And then immediately he starts going in on me like, I just wanted to ask for one more week off while I like, just whatever. And he didn't like that. And he immediately just started being like, you're jealous. And I'm like, what? Why? What? How? Like, first of all, of what? And second of all, like I've been in open relation. Like, I don't give a shit. Oh, and by the way, when I asked for that day off, I was like, hey, if you need any help, I'm happy to provide some people that could fill in for me. And he was like, he made some sound that sounded like he was like hawking a loogie on like my ancestors' graves. It was like, I don't need your help. What he said to me. But should have fucking recorded it. Because after that thing came on, I had to hang up and call him back to make him. The damage had been done. And that was that's unfortunate. But anyway, it actually started to occur to me. I was like, well, I'm being crazy, and then I'm also like, actually, that Croatia thing, because Croatia was the only country that was letting people in without quarantining them for 2 weeks. So I was like, fuck, I could take advantage of that too. So I wrote him, I said, temporary parley, please. Look, I'll publish them all if he fucking casts doubt on this. I have a couple questions and answers would be most helpful. I also need to take advantage of this Croatia thing, and I've done research, but a few questions remain. Why did you stay in Zagreb and not go to the coast? Was it just a random decision because of quarantine regs? Do you have to get a COVID test before you depart, or do they do one on you in the airport when you arrive? Are restaurants and bars open for dine-in? Second, while I take my, quote, much needed break, unquote, as you so adroitly put it, being a dick there, I'll admit that. But also so is he, so fuck it. It would greatly ease my anxieties, trust issues, whatever, if we were to split up the Patreon money received at the end of August 2020. And then I like had done... I calculated all my expenses, because here's how that worked. It would go into his bank account, and every now and then I'd be like, oh, I bought stuff because I made a home studio here in case we needed to record here. I buy stuff and then I send him the receipt. Or every now and then he'd be like, we're both going to get computers. I'll give each of us $1,500. Or sometimes just like, I'm going to give each of us $1,500 just because of whatever. Because the money started to build up, So again, fucking precedent of splitting things, right? And we never had a contract, and I just let him from the late 2017. I just kind of, other than those payouts, I just kind of let him keep the money because I don't know. I wasn't really thinking about it. Like I don't think when I find out like somebody's trying to screw me over, or I think somebody's trying to screw me over, I can get, and this is something I've largely left behind, but it can get triggered every now and then. Like I never thought I would be like what this did to me, but because I've made a lot of progress in therapy, but it did, it did it. If I feel like somebody's trying to like screw me over, like I will burn down my entire house with me in it to catch a fucking mouse, I get kind of scorched earth like that. So then I was like, okay, I calculated like here are my expenses. Then there's whatever your expenses are, the show's expenses, taxes you had to pay from, receiving the money, whatever. He actually, to his credit, he did go into detail about this. And I did end up going to Croatia because I couldn't go to the UK because they make you stay there for 2 weeks. So I met my Scottish lady friend there, and we spent a week there, and it was great. And then after I posted fucking pictures on the goddamn Discord. So this is where things got fucked. This email was from September 6th, 2020. Regarding Patreon, I'm planning to itemize the payments that have been made since we launched in 2017. Then we could decide to split the current amount based on a percentage that accurately represents the level of effort that we both committed to doing the show each week. Personally, I don't think a 50-50 split would be fair to me, but I think a 70-30 split would be reasonable. This broke my mind. I was like, this is the week, and the week that this happened, like I derailed everything. Like I almost couldn't, like I was crazy, and I was like, I'm gonna have to go to war. I'm gonna have to whatever. And then I said, thank you for the info. This is not what we agreed upon when we started the Patreon. And also, how do you quantify value to the show, to the Patreon? The hours I've spent creating and editing YouTube videos, blah, blah, blah. Set up the Discord, bippity boo. Not to mention the entertainment and emotional engagement. Just, because again, it's not a carpentry business. And also, I don't own the fucking show. So, also, when you told me Lance left the show, you split the merch money, which sounded like it was a similar amount. And I said, I was looking forward to returning to the show after my trip, but I'm not sure how I could do that, feeling like our agreement understanding was broken. I have a great deal of trust in you, which is why I was totally fine with you holding on to the payouts. By the way, that was dumb of me. That was really smart of me. So whatever. I don't think people are going to screw me over, because it's like, I am a crazy person. Like, it's not a great idea. So I was kind of going bananas. And then I was like, please, let's not go down this road. If you want to make a different arrangement for Patreon payments moving forward, I'd be open to that. Because who the fuck negotiates shit like this after the work is done? No one. Let me think about it. Who does it? Absolutely no one. At any time, ever, anywhere. No one does that. You figure it out ahead of time. And then there's like a disagreement on how we remember it, which is silly, because don't you think if it was more complicated than 50-50, wouldn't we have had a fucking contract? I point that out to him, and then he's like, here's what I did. I went to get stickers, and he wrote like a fucking essay, like a novel on all this, like how much work he does, and it's like, I don't like, that's irrelevant to what we're fucking talking about here. Again, you own the show. Now, I made my case here that what he was doing made no sense. Was there ever any language stating this, laying it out for the people that pay us, i.e. the patrons, that what they're paying for is the level of effort? And is that level of effort for the Patreon content, which is the content people are paying for, or the show itself, or both? We've talked about 50-50 split always. If I had known that it would be different than what you had with Lance, 50-50 split, and the Adam and Eve payments, 50-50, I probably would have stopped doing the show. Level of effort is certainly an important metric, but had I known that it would, we should have never done the fucking Patreon, my God. But had I known that it would have been the only metric, I either would not have done it or I would have logged hours. I don't know the exact length of time you work on things, and you don't know that from me. I would have also asked for a contract because then you're at a level of complexity that requires one, whereas 50-50 doesn't. At no point within the last 3 years did you bring any of this to my attention. It seems like something that would have to be brought up at some point within the last 3 years, certainly prior to splitting money after 3 years. Is that typically how working contributions for okay, well, that's just nonsense. And then I said, this makes no sense. You can't have an agreement that complex without it being in writing. But I'm not negotiating something retroactively that was already agreed upon as a simple split. Especially since now I'm negotiating something where it's like I actually have no leverage at all because he has all the money. And again, not that fucking the show is about doing the money. I've been doing radio since 2007. I never got paid for it. I honestly never saw this coming, which maybe I'm an idiot, but whatever, Then to his credit, he says, he sends this on September 9th. So this is all in the course of a week. It wasn't my intention to be combative. Just trying to let you know the amount of work, blah, blah, blah. It's a large effort. Yeah. Okay. And, again, coughs, but, that being said, I spent a lot of time last night trying to see where you're coming from on this. And I think I get it now. I think I actually managed to rationally explain something. I don't think I effectively communicated my expectations to you. Beep, beep, beep. I felt or maybe assumed that it would be fair for both of us to contribute content or work equally and then split the proceeds equally. So that in the beginning, I agreed to, yeah, you keep the money. And then after 3 years, I'll leave it utterly up to you how we split it, which I mean, even though I'm not, that's stupid. But to be fair, he does say, I think you assume that there would be, that was my fault. I should have communicated the understanding of our agreement more clearly, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So due to this oversight on my part and an effort to end things amicably, notice how he says end things. I agree with you that the proceeds from the Patreon from blah, blah, blah should be split 50-50. So there was no mention of a lawyer on my part because, again, you can't threaten him just like you can't threaten me. The first mention of that came around fucking in late December on the show. And that was talking about what things I was thinking about doing during this week. And that wasn't even my next step. My next step was to say, hey, let's ask the patrons what they think. And I knew he would never agree to that. I just knew he never would because I'm going to get into that, but I just didn't think he would do that. So then my plan after that was to say, okay, let's take 10% of them. And again, this money is all after expenses and all that shit. It was $14,000. So we each got $7,000. That was after my expenses, his expenses, the show's expenses, taxes that had to be paid, whatever. I was willing to say, hey, let's take 10% of it. You could take it as an administrative fee, and then we split the rest 50-50. Because again, it wasn't about the money with me. It was about me walking away feeling cheated. And then if that didn't work, I was going to just write the money off, and then I was going to sue him. Not because I thought it would win, just because I wanted it to show up anytime he applied for a job or an apartment. And that's what I said on the show. Would I have done that? Would I have spent $5,000 to not get back $7,000? Just to wound a man? Maybe. I don't know. Luckily I didn't have to, it didn't have to go that far. But apparently somebody emailed him and told him, and he's acting like he gave me the money because I was being litigious, where lawyers are never fucking even mentioned here because, again, you can't threaten him. And I know that. Then I said, D, thank you for considering what I laid out. I really do appreciate it. Definitely got a few new gray hairs in the last week. The main reason I sent the cameo, this is Steve Gutenberg. The whole thing is complicated. It's not a job, but it's definitely more than a hobby. That being said, I wish I'd been more attentive to moods, and we probably should have hashed shit out more. Sometimes I'd pick up, because again, he never said anything about, sometimes I'd pick up vibes from you, but it could be hard to tell since we're both miserable bastards who portray even more miserable bastards on a podcast. Also, I feel things very acutely, and my initial assessment of things often veer towards the paranoid. So sometimes I dismiss people not being happy with me as my own perception. For instance, when you first told me you hadn't actually gone to San Francisco, I thought you were intentionally trying to rattle me to get me to quit mid-episode or something. Then I was mad about not being very entertaining in that episode until you explained it to me over the phone why you did it like that. Then I thought, oh, I guess that makes more sense. Anyway, my point is you and I should communicate, or you and I communicate very well with each other on the air, but not super great off the air, which is what it is, I guess. So, yeah. So that's what happened with that, you know? And, you know, maybe I should have apologized, but let me tell you, I'm glad I didn't, because the very thing that I freaked out about, getting fucking replaced, is what happened. So what makes more sense when you look at both stories, right? And again, release the tape. He's got the tape. Release it. Probably be like, oh, I didn't know it wasn't working that day, you know. Oh, right. Okay, here's another important thing. You on this note of communication, you haven't said it, but I am getting the vibe, and this is fucking on September 11th, I think, right? Yeah, September 11th. I am getting the vibe that you no longer want me on the show anymore. I am 100% okay with that and want you to know I'm not going to react emotionally. So unless I'm totally misreading things again, my main concern with this, and this is like, you can't abandon me, I'm abandoning you because I was abandoned at birth. This is a little bit of that, I will admit, you know. But, you know, again, I remind him of his best friend who, anyway. So right. So unless I'm totally misreading things again, my main concern with this is that we come up with a good way to frame it. People keep asking me what's up, and I've been vague in my replies so far. I don't want people sending me angry messages saying I abandoned the show, and I don't want anyone giving me a hard time either. Conscious uncoupling? I don't know. Thoughts? So then whatever. And then at this point, I actually started to think, well, you know what, fuck it. Maybe we can. Like, trust was kind of killed for me, but I was like, I don't know. Maybe we can come up with a contract or something. After your return from your trip to Croatia, and if you want to discuss returning to the show, then I think we should discuss drawing up an actual creative contract that clearly outlines the expectations and contributions for both hosts. Now, I guess this is kind of where I fucked up here, because for some reason, when I was in Croatia, I was trying not to think about it, this whole thing, but I was still angry. I was still angry about that week when I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to go to war and you know. But yeah, it was my mistake. I thought when I came back, like he would have a contract or something, you know. And if we decide it's best to part ways, then I'm sure we can come up with a good way to frame your departure. And this is where he fucked me again. He acts like I ran off with the money like the fucking Hamburglar, you know, like like I didn't want to, but he had to, you know, So I thought things would, and then here's what happened. I went to fucking Croatia the end of September, and then I tried not to think about it, but it was hard. And I think I kind of, like, I was angry about shit, and I think I kind of fucked things up with my lady friend a little bit, just because I was like, still kind of like, ooh. I tried to forget it, but towards the end of the trip, I was kind of like able to forget about it a little bit. And then when I got back on a Sunday, and I didn't reach out that week because I don't deal with this shit during the week because I'm working. And if I get upset, then I can't fucking write, and I need to write for work. So I didn't bring it up, you know, and can you blame me? I mean, does this sound fun to you? My God. So then, I think it's the Saturday. Yeah. Okay. So I got back on like, I don't know, the 4th or something. And this is October 11th. He says, hey, I haven't heard from you, so I'm assuming that you're not interested in returning to the show. I think that's probably for the best, considering that you're planning to move to the UK. And you said that the show had inversely impacted your health by enabling to equate or unraveling with entertainment, which, like, I mentioned it, but I don't believe it. And also by that point, I was like in fucking crazy mode. I was trying to like negotiate with no leverage. So take that for what you want, you know? I wanted to give you a heads up that I announced on this week's episode, which you had already recorded by this point, that you are moving to the UK. I'm not, you know, I want to. Maybe in a couple of years I'll be able to, but like fucking what the fuck? But you might be back as a guest host in the future. But we did some good episodes, and I appreciate the time you put in the sick and wrong. And this is where, I don't even remember what I said for this, but first off, you seem to hold in resentment without saying anything and avoid being straightforward. I was basically like, just fucking fire me. Like the passive aggression, like just say, like I have to drag this out over 4 emails before I actually fucking get fired. You know, it's like, oh, it's exhausting. My God. So yeah, I'm easily affected by shit. I freaked out, you know, I feel things acutely, which makes it like easy for me to write dialogue in the voices of, you know, various, you know, major franchise characters, but makes it hard to like live my daily life. The feather thing, I don't even know why apparently that was like 20 minutes of the fucking thing. But yeah, no, it used to bother me. It used to bother me, and I'll tell you why. There was a chick that I met on FetLife that I was kind of dating for a little while, or I just started to see her, you know, and then she kind of just ghosted on me. And, you know, one of the things that upset me about the feather thing was that I like the idea of being someone who gets sexual pleasure from tickling used to kind of like, it's just like, because if I was dating a girl and I found that like that was a you know, a deal breaker that like tickling had to be on the table, I'd be like, nah. I'd be like, no. And I think that I thought that like that's why she ghosted. Of course, like a year later, I found out she got back together with her fucking ex. So yeah, I was wrong about that. And also it's like, but I don't now, like, I'm sorry, we're in a pandemic. Like, sure. All right. You could make like 3 puns with feather. Also, that just comedically, it kind of irritated me a little bit just because there's not a ton you can do with it. And, you know, the people that did try to do stuff with it, you know, weren't exactly fucking Don Rickles. So, but I mean, all that was my fault for letting people know that it bothered me, because that was still at the point where I was trying to win this audience over. And by the way, I do not fucking envy the person that has to win this audience over, because it's fucking hard. Good luck with that. So is that everything? Oh yeah, this whole idea that's like, I'm like trying to make me look like the fucking fat kid from Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. Like I'm just some, you know, spoiled, wealthy maniac. Taking things from people like the Hamburglar. Yeah, that's bullshit, buddy. Yes, I came into money. He's got money. He's got money, a large amount of money squirreled away, more than I've been able to come into this year. I was going to get into it. I'm not going to get into it because I'm just not going to get into that. But also he makes like 180 grand a year. So, you know, the fact that we split up $14,000 is fucking nothing. You want to know how I have my money? Okay. So when the pandemic started, the quarantine happened, I thought the stock market was going to tank. I was wrong. It didn't. It actually went up. I underestimated the amount that the market devalues labor and overvalues capital. But nevertheless, I cashed out my remaining 401k. The other one I cashed out when I was unemployed and like in the 5th dimension for 2 years. So let me pull this shit up here. So I took it out. I took it all because it was all in stock. So I thought it was going to be like 2008. I took it out and then I put it, I still had money in cryptocurrency, which, you know, I've talked about multiple times on the show. So his rank speculation of how I got money, you know, where he's like, oh, he probably, blah, 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 blah. Like, are you shitting me? Like, if you thought about it for 5 fucking seconds, you would see, okay, so the time when I took money out, you know, and put it back into cryptocurrency, where I still had some money in cryptocurrency was, let's say April, whatever. How much was Bitcoin in April? Let's see, $7,500. Wow, or no, 7,800. Look at that. It's all over the place. $7,800. Wow. Okay. And what is it now? $40,000. I don't mean to yell. So yeah, that's stupid. Like, just fucking think for a second. And also, I don't spend any money now because I never leave the house. And also, that thing, first of all, bringing his ex into it is pretty goddamn low because she's also an afflicted person, you know. But so I'm not really gonna mention it. But the thing that he says that she said about me, first of all, I always knew she didn't like me. I'd be like, I think she doesn't like me. He'd be like, no, it's fine. You know, I knew that she didn't because I could generally tell when people don't like me because most people like me, and it. Other than me, I don't like me, but most other people do. But I represent, she hated the show and I represented the show to her, right? So she projected, and the show is definitely a reflection of D, but she couldn't really reconcile that because then she'd have to be like, well, I'm dating a person that I despise everything about him, basically, which is kind of what was happening. So she projected it all onto me, you know? And he projected a whole lot of shit onto me too, because, and also just saying that, what he said, that accusation, it's like, how could how I position myself, how I use the show to position myself. If I was doing that, I did a pretty shit fucking job because I never leave the house because I've had agoraphobia fucking since before I started doing the goddamn show. I mean, I've had like 2 girlfriends, but like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, how does that even make sense? And also, that was another thing projected onto me because, dude, what have you been doing? You know, give us some numbers there. Let's not get into that, but also, it's fucking ridiculous. I think I'm done. I think that's everything. Again, I'll release all these emails. I don't give a shit. But you know, I don't want to. You know, I didn't want to do this. I was walking away, you know, but I got to defend myself. I can't let it. I couldn't let it go. People was like, just let it go. Just let it go. I'm like, I can't let it go. Lord, don't let me be misunderstood. Kids, just because mom and daddy are fighting doesn't mean we love you any less. In all seriousness, I miss you all very much, and I hope you'll join me on my new adventures and bear with me while I try to build what Tokyo and I are doing into an actual show. That I don't have to spend too much time fucking editing. Anyway, my new show is Let's Kill Ourselves. It's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. It's on Google Podcasts. The audio versions are. Should be on Apple soon, hopefully, if they don't be like, no, you can't call it that. And then we'll probably call it like, Let's Krill Ourselves, and then just have like a section about whales or some shit. I don't know, something, right? On YouTube, letskillourselves.com, beepity boppity boo. It almost got disrailed this week. Thanks, D, for that. Tokyo Cum Punch did threaten to pickaxe him into the dirt, but she says like worse to me on a weekly basis, so I don't really know why that's. And I say this with affection. Good night. And go fuck yourselves. But like in a good way. Salud. Okay, so yeah, and has yet to return. I can't return. How am I going to return? You mutt. You little prince. Prince. Many of you were confused and hurt when he left abruptly. It's your fucking fault, you mutt. Much more difficult to win, cocksucker.